This is sweatshirt, hoodie weather. This is like throw on whatever you got, and that's kind of what we're doing today. It's like the gumbo, throw everything in the pot. We're
I
going to
like
talk about
that.
all the things that we missed. Pretty much from like a lot of this happened back in
Not everything,
December.
but most.
A
A
lot of
lot.
the things that
Yeah.
happened in the lacrosse world, December through mid-January. It was about a month of like a lot of news coming out. We were recording some videos, but we also had the holidays, so trying to get caught up here.
Catching up. So let's the highlight for me was hearing you back in the booth.
That was
Was
a
hearing you back in the
fun
booth.
surprise.
It's
Got
great.
that call late on Friday afternoon. The tough weather in Atlanta made that possible for me because it was impossible for the actual on-site talent to get to the arena. So pretty much it was the Georgia Swarm,
How quick it was.
the referees, and the
Yeah.
Ottawa Black Bears were the only people in the arena. They had a handful of support staff that were able to make it, but like I got a text from a guy in Atlanta who's a high school coach down there who was like working the timeouts because they just needed someone who was
Right,
able
right,
to get
yeah.
there. So
They needed bodies.
They needed bodies. There was
Yep.
no music. If you watched the game,
I did.
you could hear everything the players were saying, which
And-
purists like.
There was a couple Twitter moments where people were like, "This was awesome," and people were like, "It wasn't awesome." So there was some fun kind of back and forth over something that's as trivial as music or no music.
Well, I also thought they both teams shot pretty poorly, like shot wide a
Okay.
lot. So you heard a lot of kabooms off the backboards and then
Yeah.
the ball flying back. That was another unique thing to that game.
There was a distinct cowbell. There was one
Defense chant. He led the defense chant a few times.
defense. There was a cowbell. You could hear everything from the bench. You could hear the boards. You could hear instructions from the assistant coaches.
Yeah.
But no, you had some great lines. I think you referenced the Hardy Souls.
Yes.
That came out, which was amazing. But I think that the thing that I brought up was like, holy smokes, like quick turn in terms of your prep. Now serendipitously, the familiarity obviously played to your benefit.
Yeah, I don't. I would think I could probably do a okay job with that short notice, but
Yeah.
for those two teams, specifically Georgia Swarm, which I played on until 2017, still has that core, and then the Ottawa Black Bears, who was last year's New York New York Riptide.
Shoes Titans.
New York
Remember
Riptide.
the Titans.
So that was fun to get to watch them, and I'd
Yeah.
watched a couple of their games already, and obviously knew both of those squads pretty well. And then having Dave Leno as
Right.
the play-by-play guy, that was really the thing that sealed the deal, is making it so much fun. It was great to get back, and just after that first quarter of kind of figuring everything out, we were right back into the flow of things, and it felt great.
You sounded like it. It was great to hear you. And I know that you got some people kind of saying your praises online and whatnot, but it was just nice to hear you.
Thanks.
And ironically, one of the highlights that you called in that game, not from that game itself, but the Elijah Gash just monster hit from the boards, and a little strange that you would just happen to be back in the booth. And you referenced it, but given your familiarity, let's say, with a similar play.
Yeah, I've been known to have a hit or two off of the bench, off the boards. There was a little bit of a different scenario.
Yep.
Elijah Gash was subbing in off his own team bench. I thought it was a great hit. It was a nice, clean hit, and whoever he hit, I think it was Chase Frazier, but popped right up. Like, it was just a good, clean, hard hit. But then Zach Belter.
It's from the bench. Like let's focus on him, not you. Like, it's from the bench. Like, you got to be alert when you're throwing that pass. Like, that's why you typically clear away from the bench.
Talk to our Sixers all the time about it, right?
And are so mindful of making that pass, is all the traffic kind of coming back and forth. So Gash, like, he just came flying and just laid the boom. Like,
And it was a good, like,
Yeah.
shoulder to chest. He didn't, like, declear. I mean, it was a good hard hit. But then Zach Belter sticking up for his teammate. If you're going to stick up for your teammate, you got to make sure that you protect the chin. And, Zach Belter, tough guy, not afraid to scrap. But I think Elijah Gash, you look at that kid. I was talking to Dan Lomas the other day, and he's like, that's not a guy I would be picking. He might be an American. He might maybe, not be who you'd think has had a lot of experience in NLL fighting. But he is a absolute monster. He played for Panther City a few years ago. I remember seeing him being like, this guy is a beast. He's going to figure this game out and be really good. Apparently, he figured out the fighting thing pretty quick, too.
And I think really the no notes chef's kiss is the fact that in the away stadium, right?
Oh, he was persona non grata but I'm curious if he went out that night or if he
just like a WWE heel.
Oh yeah.
Just owned it to the crowd. Just owned it.
19,000 strong. Yeah. There's a lot of hate.
Just amazing. Just in terms of the theater, right? Between the post gash knockout and just the opposing crowd. You know, I've always said there's nothing better than shutting up, you know, a crowd.
Yeah, they got him going.
I think that was better. I think that was actually better.
Well, it's funny. We were doing our game, and that game was going on at the same time. We did a live look-in like as that happened, so it wasn't just like
live?
It wasn't even just like, hey, this just happened. It's like, let's look in live.
Stop it.
It might have been like a 10-second delay between, but we were like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening.
Yeah.
So I think we got a replay of it first, and then we came right in as he was being walked to the penalty box. But that was, that was getting a lot of buzz too. It's on Barstool, it's on ESPN, it's on, it's everywhere you look. And so getting eyeballs on the sport, you can argue, is that a good reason? Is that a bad reason? But eyeballs are eyeballs.
So we got a little teaser of you back in the booth on Friday, but you actually have a assignment coming up, not last minute. So when can we expect to hear you in the booth next?
Yeah, excited to go in with a full week of prep here. I'll be watching the Albany Fire Wolves versus the Colorado Mammoth. I actually got to go to a Mammoth game, the first game of the season, so saw them live. I've watched them a few times, and then these two teams played this past weekend on Saturday. So this is a rematch. It's a 15-13 game, just high-scoring affair. Ty Kurtz had 7 goals. And then this Colorado Mammoth offense is just so balanced. You look, there's not a weak spot in all of their 6 or 7 forwards, however many they dress. Everyone can put the ball in the back of the net. So should be another good one. And the Firewolves really need this win. Hopefully they can get some of their players that are banged up healthy. But it should be a great game. 7 p.m. ESPN Plus Eastern Time. Looking forward to doing that one and having all the information up here instead of having to just do my best with 2 hours notice. I'm not the only one going to be in the booth in the next couple months. You'll be returning to
back to DC.
Back to the beautiful St. James, is it?
The St. James.
St. James,
fantastic facility. PLL Championship Series coming up in mid-February. We're going to do a deep dive kind of later on. So it's going to be more kind of a high-level, big picture.
Talk about the highlights.
Who
do we got?
So I think you look in terms of the top 4 regular season teams for last year, right? So you got the Archers, Whip Snakes, Atlas, and Cannons, right? Cannons defending champs. First of all, that rookie class, right? That was so highly acclaimed and then lived up to the billing. Got a bunch of those names coming in the mix, right? You think, obviously, Rookie of the Year, TJ Malone. You got Schellenberger coming. Obviously, those 2 guys, Tyler Carpenter, who won LSM of the Year. So that vaunted rookie class, and we could go on and on and on about those guys. You get them in the mix.
Yeah, and O'Neal crushing it in the NLL right now, too. So, they're still all playing.
Yeah. So you get that, and then I think then you look at Will Manny returning to play with Marcus Holman. So I think that kind of narrative is super fun. Just kind of the reunion there, if you will. Will Manny kind of coming back and playing with his old squad, the Cannons, reuniting with the Bunk Bed Boys. I don't know, but it's the best. It's amazing.
It's the best.
It's amazing. Right now there's an open coaching spot, right? With Carolina Chaos.
Just coaches tryouts right now?
I'm just saying, you look at Stephen Brooks, full name, Stephen Brooks. Is that a little bit of a tryout there? A dark horse like Brody Merrill with the Boston Cannons. Yeah. Like, is that those two? And Stephen will be active heading coach. Brody will be assistant coach.
Is Hartzell coaching one of the teams this year? Because he helped out last year, right?
He's not, no.
Okay.
So you look at, and I'm not trying to do the whole list, but I'm just saying there's that open kind of coaching staff spot. And then from a Trilogy perspective, Will Mark, who we kind of talked about leading into last year's draft, and ICE alum, he had a really good training camp. Just it's hard to crack a roster. He'll be playing in the sixes. He'll be playing for the Maryland Whip Snakes. So excited to see him, being able to get some time there.
Yeah, he crushed it for the Puerto Rico team at that Indianapolis Team USA Sixes Challenge. So I think some coaches saw that. Coach Tegnina said, you know what? I think we'll give him a shot in the Sixes game because he can face a lot of rubber. He makes those in tight saves, and I got to see that firsthand, and it'll be exciting to see him suiting up in a pro game.
Couple other kind of just tidbits here and there. Brad Smith coming back from an injury. We haven't seen him play lacrosse in a awfully long time. So, it's super excited to see him kind of back on the field and healthy. So I'm certainly pumped about that. And then I think the other thing is like, what do we see? I think the water dogs, in terms of what they did schematically last year, very unique. And you look at that plus the rule changes that are pretty significant in terms of clearing time, in terms of the overtime. So there's going to be a lot more that we'll dig into later on. But just wanted to kind of give you little snippets here and there of kind of what to expect.
Question for you: goalies, are they wearing more leg pads based on the Brian Phipps tweet last year? With the black and blue legs?
They did last year. So Phipps, the black and blue was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago? Okay.
And I think
they
all
learned from that. Yeah.
But and not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the sneaky thing, and this is maybe for the gamblers out there, the sneaky thing is, look at the best goalie there. You look at the last two champions, and I think you could pretty much look at like, okay, which team had the best goalie, or what was the best goalie performance? Not surprisingly, those are the teams that won. So you get distracted by the offensive firepower, that's the best goalie, I think, in the tournament has won the last 2 years.
When you look at kind of crossing over to the NLL, how important that position is. You bring everything in so tight. Those like in tight saves can be the difference, especially in these high scoring affairs.
Other super exciting part about the PLL Championship Series is the introduction of the WLL.
Yeah.
Your thoughts in terms of, first of all, the announcement, the introduction, and any of the names jump out to you?
I mean, I think first and foremost, it's great, and especially being the double-edged sword with the announcement of the AU Pro shutting down. Like, it's great that the WLL is there to now, one, fill the gap, and two, potentially has more room to grow now, right? So there's an opportunity for them to continue on in the summer. So that's great for these women that are so amazing. I like how they kept the logos consistent with the men's and the women's team, kind of have the same theme, same colors. I think that's a really cool way to do it. And I think it's going to be a great opportunity for the
haven't seen the rosters come out yet, so like we're saying this, and who knows by the time this gets released. But I would envision that they're going to take the same approach to the roster building perspective with the WLL that they did originally with the PLL rosters. So, when I think of Maryland Charm, right, I'm thinking Terp heavy, right? Especially as you look at the fan base that could be in and around the St. James. Like, if you have a Maryland heavy team, that could be a little bit of a home team crowd, a home team factor. Obviously, then you look at the Boston, right? Boston guard, like BC. Yeah, like, are you getting Charlotte North and kind of company? Yeah. Right. So you look at kind of Maryland Charm. You got Alex Ost-Holman and like all the Terps. You look at Boston guard and like basically Charlotte North and the BC crew. And then how do you approach kind of the California Palms? Ali Mastriani, like we've worked with her at Trilogy. She's playing for California. Yeah. Right. She's a Palm.
Carolina, California. They sound kind of similar. Is that the?
So you look at kind of how she was assigned is then like, well, I guess it wasn't a perfect fit for Maryland. Wasn't a pick for Boston. Wasn't a pick for perfect slot for New York. So then,
and there's a big crew of that UNC women that are still playing on the national team. Like there's a really strong contingent there. So yeah, like you said, do they get dispersed? Do they go where the Carolina Blue of the Charging, or do they go to California and go the namesake route?
The New York Charging, I think, is like, do you look at the Long Island? Do you look at all the women that are from the New York area, or the programs? Obviously, Stony Brook, Syracuse.
Yeah, you got a big triangle to pick from, the state of New York plus Long Island.
Right. So I think that's the thing, but it's like, how do they build the rosters to kind of create that loyalty the same way they did kind of the original PLL, the original teams there.
Feel good moments, sports crossovers. Yes. Should we talk sports crossovers?
Of course.
You're the in-house basketball expert. You're an NBA leaning guy. You're not a college basketball.
Oh yeah, I don't follow college basketball at all until March Madness. That's where I am in my life. So NBA, I mean, Pat Spencer has been in the mix. Yeah. Right, but like I think the moment is when Pat Spencer and Cam Spencer are on an NBA court together.
Yeah. The just sheer numbers, like, you look at the sport of basketball. There's 12 players on a roster to make any of the big four sports is unbelievable. But then to make the one that's by far the hardest is just like next level. And then have two brothers playing against each other.
Two brothers, right?
So cool.
Yes, and then shortly thereafter, Pat Spencer drops a career high in points. So I think you look at him, you look at Cam, obviously, whose career path went the full college basketball route. Yeah. So talking more about Pat, to play college lacrosse for X amount of years, i.e., take that off.
Yeah, 10,000 hours, right? That's like 10,000 hours
to take that
lost.
off, right? I think this speaks volumes to the level of athlete that is now competing at the tip top of lacrosse.
Yeah.
Right? This is like the tip top of lacrosse. You take those guys, and it's Bernhardt obviously being another one, being able to go, and obviously a couple years ago, but going NFL, the top, the creme de la creme of lacrosse players, they can hang in any sport.
Yeah.
I think that's not hyperbole. It's
also
this
the
is happening.
The multi-sport athlete discussion, how beneficial must it be? Pat Spencer didn't play for 4 years of college and was still able to spend time getting back into it, getting his skills back polished. And he used the pick and roll. He used all those things he was doing at attack at Loyola and now in the NBA when you add the basketball skills. It's just I think it's a win for multi-sport athletes, and it's a win for lacrosse in general.
And you said the NBA, and not to not so we discredit him or gloss over, but Cole Kastner also, after a decorated career at the University of Virginia, is now playing basketball at Stanford and actually played against his former not team but his former
college.
school. Former school, former college, and there was kind of a heartwarming moment when he kind of checked in, but again to see. The lacrosse athletes being able to cross over and play other sports at a high level, I think just speaks volumes about the evolution of this sport, just from a sheer athleticism standpoint.
And we didn't even talk about it. Will we have a 2 sports national champion in Faison with Notre Dame champion in lacrosse, has a chance for a championship in football? That would be... I don't know if that's been done.
We're going to have to talk about.
We're going to have to look at the Jim Brown stats to see if that's been done. I don't know if Jim.
Maybe
Brown.
Maybe Nick Ocello can weigh in on.
yeah.
I don't know if anybody's ever done.
I don't think he wanted Tostitos Bowl. I believe.
I don't know if anybody's ever done this before.
No, it's first time for everybody.
But he would know in terms of anyone that's ever played college football and college lacrosse. So he's our reference, I think.
Yeah, we'll get him to weigh in on.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll call him in next time.